Welcome to the webinar on study halls and free time with MMS Generations. I'm Beth Elliott, your trainer, and we'll be going over things like calculating the free time to use with figuring out what study halls you need, reports that you can use for the study halls, actually creating the study halls, scheduling them, and getting reports like a study hall list of which students are in the study halls. So we're going to start by going in to calculate the free time. And you do that by going under Schedule, Operations, and you can update the student free time records. What this is going to do is it's going to go back through and figure out when the students are not scheduled into a class. And it does that. Now you can do it under Scheduling. You can also do it under Grading. And under Grades, it's Grades, Operations. And actually it's only under the scheduling that we need to worry about the free time, because it's when we're scheduling study halls that becomes a factor. Now, for setting up when you're going to schedule or figure out where your free time is, let's first look at the sections. So we're going to go under School, Edit Course Sections. And we want to look at the type of classes we have. So we have some year-long classes, and as we scroll down or page down, we can see what we have. We have some semester 1s and semester 2s, more years. If you have trimester or quarter classes, you're going to need to know that to know whether or not to figure out that that's what you need for study halls. So we do have some band that is single quarter. So therefore I do need to pay attention to the quarters as to what the student needs for study halls. Career interns and some of the other things are quarter classes, so I do need to pay attention to that. So I'm going to close out of the section editor, and we're going to go under School, Edit Scheduling Term Definitions. Now in here we have the different displays of year, semester, quarter, and rotations, and we didn't actually have any rotation courses this year. As I scroll all the way to the right, there is an area that you can use to track free time. So I need to do it for year, I need to do it for semester, and because I do have some quarter classes, I need to do it for quarters, but I don't need to do it for the rotation, so I can uncheck those. Now, if I had not had any quarter classes, I might have had quarter terms for attendance purposes, but not have the terms for the scheduling purposes, in which case I could go ahead and uncheck Use to Track Free Time. If I want to do my study halls by semester, then I could uncheck year long and only do the study halls for the semester. So it all depends on the type of study halls that you want to work with. So now that I've redone this, I'm going to save and exit, and we're going to go back under Schedule and Operations, and we're going to update the free time records again. And you just run it. It's very easy to do. So it'll run through and figure that out for you. Now that we have that free time calculated, we can come in under Schedule, More Reports, and start running some of the reports that we need for the setup. One is the Student Free Time Tally. And what the free time tally is going to do is it's going to show me based on the terms I have over here and based on my periods. Now right now I have one to AS, and my AS is actually an after school that I might not worry about where those are. I just want to do my actual periods where I have courses. So I'm only going to do periods 1 to 9, and I'm going to go ahead and print. What this will do is it will go through and give me an overall count by period, by term, of what the students need for study halls. It's not going to break it down by the students. It will break it down by term. So we'll be able to see here that depending on the day of the week, I have different numbers of students who need study halls. So it gives me that capability. So this is still period, the different periods for the different terms. So in my semester 1, here's when I need study halls. Semester 2, the quarters, and so on. And as I go to the next page, I'll get down to where I need the ones I need for year. So it just determines, what it is. So we're going to close out of there. Now this doesn't necessarily show me what sort of patterns I'm needing. So if I exit out of here and I run the study hall requirement table, so schedule, more reports, the study hall requirements table. What this does is for the different areas of specifically what's my different setups. And I can say print only free time not already scheduled into study halls, which I might do later in the year if I was doing this at just before semester 2. I might want to say, well, if they're already studied in a scheduled hall, ignore them. I'm looking for the changes. But I can go ahead and print, and this is going to show me by period and then by the terms, what do I need where. I have 38 students who need a Monday-only study hall. I have 62 students who need the full week on a year basis. I have 3 kids that need the study hall on the semester basis or on the quarter 2 basis. Some of them, I have 18 students that need a study hall Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 11 that need it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and 4 that need it Wednesday, Friday. Now some of these can overlap with others. The students that need Wednesday, Friday can fit in the study hall that was potentially a full week and against the kids that need it Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And depending on which students it is, the ones that need just the one day could potentially fit in for other areas. So it gives us that capability to be able to go look and see what sort of study halls do I need to build. And that's what this report is for. It's just going to show me the different combinations I need. Unlike a regular section, you cannot overload a study hall section. So I can't put in more students than are needed. But unlike a section, I can put students in certain days of a study hall and not in other days. Where in a regular section I have to match the days. I can't have some kids in there 2 days a week and other kids in there 3 days a week and have it different kids. I would need a different section. But study halls lets me do that. So it gives me that flexibility to be able to go in and say, oh, okay, this will work out. Which means that my 27 kids that need the Friday only can fit in the study hall of the 35 kids that need it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that's where it's kind of nice that you can mix and match with that. But that's what this is for, is, what sort of study halls do I need to make? So I'm going to actually print this, send it to my printer, so I have it as a reference. And now I'm going to go in back under Schedule, More Reports, and I need to start looking at the Teacher Availability Report. This is going to show me which teachers are available for the study halls. Now I can move all my different time frames. If I was doing this just for semester 4, I could move only those. So it gives me that capability. Where I'm not doing rotations this year, I might just need to look at it one for each term. If I was only doing semesters, I'd maybe need only to do week 1 and week 19. When I print, and by default we're going to print in the name order, but I can do it in the ID of the teacher order instead. So when you print, it's going to run through, look at the teachers that are out there that are not flagged as non-instructional. So these are my instructional staff. And it's going to show me by the teacher name when they're available. Now, some of the teachers, like Pete Corrigan, is only available on Mondays, which is when this teacher is not scheduled into a section. So most of my teachers that I'm seeing here, other than the ones that are available Monday, are available the full week, which makes it nice because I can have just the same teacher in the room the whole week. Sometimes that's going to change depending on the period. So for period 2, Armian is available Monday, Thursday, Friday, and therefore has a class Tuesday and Wednesday. M Common is available first semester, but not second semester. versus the ones that are only available on the Wednesday. So this shows me, as I said, which teachers are going to be available to cover study halls. And as I can print it for the teachers, I can also print it for the rooms. So under Schedule More Reports, I can go down to the room availability and see when my rooms are available. And I'm again eliminating my after-school period. I can go ahead and move in one for each term and print. So based on the room description, and I might need to do this one by code rather than by description. So all the blank ones that don't have a description are first, versus straight by the period. So I can again see which ones are available when. So my guess is Armian was in room 106 because it has the same pattern of when they're available. So I need to be aware of what those periods are so I can put students in them. So that's where we're working with. Once we have our study hall availability of what we need, the rooms and the teachers, we can go and edit study halls. Now that we have the information we need, we're going to go under School, Edit Study Halls. Study halls are set up that the course code of a study hall starts with S for study hall, and then the next two digits are the period of that study hall, which makes it nice knowing I'm looking at S01s, that these are my first period study halls. And right now I just have some year study halls set up for first period. I have a maximum number of enrollment for that period for Monday. Shows nobody enrolled yet. It shows me different teachers for that day, and then what room they're in. And I continue that for the rest of the time frame. If I want to add a new study hall, I just go up to the yellow plus, tell it what period I want and what section. The first time you go in, you can specify the teacher for the week. So I might need to look at Codman for first period. I can say what room Codman is going to be in or which room the study hall is going to be in based on my teacher and room availability. And I can put the maximum number in that room. So if I want to make 30 or 35 my maximum, whatever the number is for that room, I can specify that and then click OK. Now it defaulted to a semester 1. I might want to set it up for a semester 2 study hall. And you can omit study halls from class attendance, and that's entirely up to you whether you want to or not. As we come across, we're going to see that it's going to be the same teacher in that room all the way across. Now Codman's already in one study hall, so I didn't pick a good teacher. So I'm going to come down and pick a different teacher. So I'm going to put it as Hosher. And that means I need to change Hosher all the way across. So as I continue going to the right, I can see the other study halls, the other days that my schedule has. Now, if need be, I can put different teachers on different days. And how many days you're seeing here all depends on your schedule rotation, your schedule setup. If you said you were working on a 5-day schedule, then they'll probably default Monday through Friday. If you're working on a 2-day schedule, then it would show, say, day B and day W and day R for white and red, something like that. But that's how you set it up. If you did not want a study hall to meet the whole week, then you can come in and say, oh, I don't need this study hall to meet on Fridays, so I'm going to make the maximum on Friday a 0. And this study hall now does not meet on Friday. I can leave the teacher as is, it isn't going to hurt me any, and go from there. If I wanted to leave them blank for the days the study hall wasn't meeting, then when I built the study hall as a whole, I would eliminate the teacher, and I wouldn't bother with the teacher or the room. So even though I have 0 enrolled and 0 maximum, it would still consider it a conflict as I put things in. So I need to pay attention to that when I set them up. If I'm going to set up study halls that are restricted days, I want to put those earlier in the sections, because when I schedule my study halls, I have the option of whether or not to rotate the study halls or not. If I rotate the study halls, and if, say with these top 5, it would put, because all of them meet all 5 days, what it would do is it would put the first student in the first study hall, the second one in the second, and so on. The 6th student would potentially go back into the first study hall. So it rotates to try and fill the study halls evenly. If I have restricted study halls that only meet certain days, I want to put those earlier in the sections and not rotate. So that way, when it looks at the study halls, it's going to say, does this student who needs only Monday fit in this Monday only study hall? And you can say, yep, it does. But if they need Wednesday, Thursday, and the first section is a Monday only, it's going to say, no, I don't fit. I'm going to go down to the next section. And that might be a Tuesday, Thursday one. And then it's, yeah, okay, the student, no, that still won't fit. Go down to the next study hall. Because the time frame, the term, and the enrolled that are in there for each of the days, the student has to fit it all. If there's space 2 out of the 3 days that the student needs, but not on that 3rd day, they're not going to go into the study hall. If it's a full week study hall and the student only needs 3 days and there are seats available for those 3 days, then they will go in. That's where the order you set up the sections come in to be important. You need to set them up in the right order. And you can make as many different sections and terms as you want. Once your sections are in, you can come in and see what's going on. The other nice thing that you can work with when you're working with study hall sections is sometimes when they do the study hall sections, you might have a practice at the high school that the seniors for study hall get to have their study hall in the cafeteria, where there's a little bit more where they can talk to each other and do some other things. What you're going to do after is you would schedule the seniors first, and then come back in here and set the maximum so it matches the enrolled, so only the seniors go in that study hall. Because once the study hall is full, you can't put more students in there. And that's where it's nice that you can work with that. So I'm going to close out of here, and we're going to go do the actual schedule of study halls. If I want to work with my seniors first, then I might want to go to a year of grad filter first to make it easier for me to select the seniors. And then under schedule, operations, you're going to schedule study halls. In here, you set the periods that you'd like to run. So I'm again skipping my after school. This is where I can specify whether I want to rotate the study hall assignments or not. So if all my study halls pretty much are even or equal, they're all the full days of the week and pretty much have the same number, then I might want to rotate my study halls. If I want my seniors in the one in the cafeteria first, then I might want to change that and or not put any of those during lunch periods, but I want to be able to set that up and say, oh no, don't rotate, because that will allow it where it'll fill up the first study hall before it goes to the second study hall. So even though I built 6, I might only need 5. So I have more kids in those 5 sections, but it makes it work that way. Do I want to schedule only students without studies? So if I am scheduling at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the term, and I say I've already scheduled my seniors, then I might want to only schedule students who haven't been put into studies yet. If I'm doing this the first time to schedule my seniors, I can come over here, select just my seniors. What I did is I clicked in one of the year of grads and I typed in 2014, and it found the first 2014 student, and I could hold my control key and click on that and select only the seniors that I have in the school at the moment. I can click OK, and I said, okay, I want to start my seat count at 0, which means I'm starting over when I do my schedule. These are the kids I want to put in there. Once I schedule these students, now that I've filled up my first sections, in effect, so it ran the study halls, it's updating enrollments, and then it's going to let me see that I had certain students I couldn't put in a study hall because it was period 9 and there wasn't a study hall section available for either semester 2, quarter 1, quarter 2, different quarters. So I don't have some of the study halls set up for period 9 and maybe some of the other periods. So it lets me know that, oops, I need to go take care of that. But it will let me see who is or isn't set up. But once it is done, if I go back under schedule, more schedule, actually if I go under school first and go into more school management reports and go to my study hall listing, this is going to show me for each of the study halls I set up how many students and who's where. So it's letting me see for the study hall, in this case, this one has Codman the full week. He's in the cafeteria. I have 32 seats available. I have 12 students scheduled in there. And because I was not rotating, the only place I'm going to see students scheduled is in that first period study, is in that first section of study hall. So it lets me see that, so nobody else is here. So if this is going to be my senior only, I would change my maximums to 12, so I can't put anybody other than the seniors that are already there. Not when I run the full scheduler. So that's what it's showing me, is who's where. When I start looking at period 2, I can see I've got 11 kids in there, and again, they're in the cafeteria. So that's where this comes in, of who I want to work with, what period and where. Now I'm noticing here that I have, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I have 22 kids in there, but on Thursday and Friday I only have 19. So there are at least 3 students that only needed 3 days a week rather than the full week. And that's where study hall I can do that with, where I can't in a regular section. I can also see that I probably need to adjust my maximums, even though the cafeteria probably can handle 130 kids. Gives me a way where I can manipulate that number. So it lets me see who's there. Now that I've scheduled my seniors, except for period 9 and a few others that I need to clean up, I could now schedule the rest of the students. And I can say, we'll go deselect everyone, find the first junior, select here down with my control key, and that, how to do that selection is right down here in the notes. This time I want to add to the current count still without rotating. Now if I want to make sure that I don't get any other students in the first period, in the first sections that are in the CAF other than the seniors, I would go into school, edit my study halls, and I would change my maximum here to match what's in there all the way across. Okay, and I do that for once for each period, so I want to make sure that they match so that only those students get in there. Because when we schedule the study halls, they do not overload, because that's one of the rules that have to do with study halls. And I'm just using my tab key to go across. And using a period to finish up the number as I type it in. Okay, so that's all I'm doing here. It's just making it so it matches up. So as easy as that to come across. And you can see how that works. If I now, to make sure that it reads that new information, I can always exit out of here and go back in again under Schedule Operations, Schedule Study Halls, because that's to make sure that it reads the most recent enrollments I put in there. I'm going to set my periods. I'm not going to overwrite. I am going to add to the current counts that are already there, because otherwise it would wipe out the seniors that are in those first sections, and I don't want to do that. I would still do a year plan. I would deselect, find my first junior, select from here down, click OK, and schedule. So in here, it's going to go through, skip those first couple of sections because I maxed out the enrollment, the maximum to match the enrollment. So it's working on each of those. It updated my enrollments and lets me still see who does or doesn't have any study halls. And most of these are going to be for things that are not year-long because I hadn't set up the semester study halls yet. So that's what it's going to tell me about. If I go back and look at the study hall listing, I'm going to be able to see that those first sections still don't have any more kids in them, but the other ones do. So it filled up this one as it could, and then it started on the next one down. So that's where it works well in finding out which kids need to go where. When I'm in something like the study hall scheduler, I can always come up to the question mark and it will bring up the help on doing study halls. So I can walk through this and see, oh, what am I working with? What does it mean about scheduling only students without study halls? What is it going to do if I say no? What is it about starting at 0? Do I want to rotate? So it lets me know what the different things are and how to work with them. And it even has links to things like editing the study hall operation itself. So you see what's going on. You know, what sort of things can I learn if I click the Learn More? So it's going to show me stuff about the buttons and so on. So it's nice that it gives you that information to work with. So remember that the help is there. So now that we have those in, you can go under Schedule, More Reports, and you can now print your study hall lists. What the study hall list is like a class list. Show me which days to print, which teachers, which study halls themselves, and or which terms. And I can go ahead and print, and I want to print these by teacher name. If I needed to select, I wanted to do it by name, and then it's going to show me at the top what is the study hall setup, and below that which days, what students are in the study hall, and what days they're there. So I can see here that Brad Burke is here on Wednesdays and Fridays, and Samantha Erb is there on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So between those two students, they filled that period. And I have a lot of those where it did that nice matching up for me. I might have other study halls that, like this one of the students, Virginia, is only here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I don't necessarily have somebody who's filling it in on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But that's where the study halls come in, where it's nice to be able to do that. And some of them are only there on Mondays, because we had a lot of students that needed just the Monday. And I almost could have set up a study hall just for Monday, because that's what was needed. But at the top, it's going to show me the period, the section, how it's laid out, who's covering it, and go from there. If I now go and look at the student's schedule, I'm going to be able to see that they are now scheduled into their study halls. So depending on the student, this one doesn't need one, but other students do. So as we come through, like here's a student that period 5, they needed a study hall. They didn't have a class scheduled for study hall. for period 5, so they're in a study hall instead. If I now change the student's schedule and give them a class period 5, just by going up into the Add a New Record, finding my 5th period classes, say go ahead and find everybody who's here. Now some of it, like the AP Calc and or the AP Lit, that could be the part of a section. It's a link, so they aren't there full time, but it lets me see what's going on. So if I put them into an elective, say I want to put them into architectural drawing, I'm going to go ahead, highlight that, click the X. It's going to set me up to bring them into architectural drawing. And when I click OK, I don't have to hit replace. I can just click OK. It's going to let me know I overloaded the section, but it puts them into the architectural drawing, and I'm no longer in study hall. If I view the entry-exit dates, study hall isn't going to be in here because it's not really a class. But it shows me when I came into architectural drawing. That's the nice thing with study halls, is once I put a class in, they become part of that class and they're taken out of study hall. If I drop them from another class, they will be taken out of the class and put back into study hall, because they'd already set up that, oh, they had free time, it's now filled, and it's back free again. That's where study halls is really handy, to be able to work with that. Now when you work with attendance, under class attendance, more reports, if I needed a paper recording list for study halls, I can come in and do the recording lists for study hall. So I can pick which terms I need to work with, what's my starting date. So if I wanted to print it for next Monday, I could come in here and go to next Monday. Say I want to do it for 5 days, for the full week. First one's a study hall. I can review that. I can come in and say it's second semester coming up, so I want to do it week 19. Build the list of study halls that meet during that time frame. So the year ones are going to work with that. I can single or double space my listing, and I can even print a teacher signature line. So if I go ahead and print, it's going to show me a list of students with an area for me to fill out when they have study hall. So I can see where they're here and what's going on. I might have hit a vacation week, so I might want to go back and pick this week instead. So it lets me see what's going on. I could also double space it and maybe make the time between periods a little better to give me a little extra space, and I could even put a couple of underlines in here. So it sort of gives me buckets that I can put them in. So it just gives me a different look for how I want to fill it in. So that's where that comes in. If I just wanted to do the 1 day, I could do that also. So it lets me see what's going on. If I want to take attendance in that, I can come in under class operations, and do my full day class attendance entry. Or I can come up with the student, and if they are in a study hall, I can make an absent or not, and they're just going to show up here like any other course for what they need, because that'll be their schedule. And the study hall would show along with any other course. So it just gives you a different way to put things in there. If you have a rotated schedule, as you do with the regular courses, you would need to factor in that rotation when you're figuring out your study halls. And under schedule or schedule editing jobs, you can work on your edit schedule rotation. Now, I don't happen to have any out there yet, so I'm going to go ahead and add it in. And I might be working with a drop schedule where not all of my periods meet every day. So I could come in and say, okay, on the first day, I might have my first 7 periods that meet, but the last 2 do not. And on the next day, it might be that it's just that they meet in what order. If it's the same one, and I might just change, what period is meeting where, and I might want to skip a couple, and now I'm doing 7, 8, and 9. So I can just sort of rotate through where my breaks are. Now, I could just keep with the 5 numbers, if I'm only having 7 periods meet. What this is when I come across is what period in the day does it meet? It's not which period is there, which block. It's for this course, what period of the day does it meet? Or does it meet at all? So I'm not really rotating, I'm just dropping a couple a day. And that's all I'm doing here. So that's where we're working with it. If I am doing a drop schedule, when I figure out my free time for the students, then I need to be aware of what's going on. So I need to know which is what. If my courses, my sections don't meet the full day, because I'm doing a rotated schedule. If some of these were, okay, it's period 1, that meets every day but Thursday. What you would think you would do is eliminate Thursday from this list. And the same for Tuesday. But for periods 3 and 4, they don't meet on Tuesdays. If you leave the days as the full week for a course that meets the full week except for the drop, the study hall free time does not look at the drop schedule. It doesn't look at the rotation. It looks at what's in the section table. So by leaving the periods the full week, you don't have to worry about having these kids that need that free time on periods that are really dropped. So that's why you want to leave those as a full week. When you start getting into the ones that meet partial week or on drop days, it could be that you decide okay, this always goes this way. So I can say that if class meets on Wednesday and it drops on Thursday, then I'm going to make it meet on Thursday too. That way, for the drop period, I know it's always going to be covered. So if I sort of buddy it, and if I go back and look at my rotation, so I can come in and say, okay, anytime I schedule a class to meet Wednesday's period 1, I'm also going to schedule it Thursday period 1, so that I know this drop is covered. The same goes with period 2. But period 2, I would also do period Thursday and Friday. Period 3, I'm going to say, if it meets Tuesdays, then make it meet Wednesdays. This fills in that free time, so I'm not needing or having been shown that I need a study hall on a day that's going to be dropped. So you end up working with that so that it'll do things more easily for you. Another way to do that, if you do have the holes in your schedule, is you end up creating a drop period section. You come in and you add a course number. So I might add a course and call it drop. My drop days. It's not going to be in honor roll. It's not going to be in GPA. It doesn't need anything. All I'm doing is just saying that. When I go to create the section for drop, I can come in and say, okay, I want to add a section for my drop. And I'm going to link it to all the time it doesn't meet. So if periods 1 to 2 don't meet on Thursday, that's when I want this section to meet. And then I'm going to do what they term a link and add another line, and it doesn't need a grade plan. So I want to add a link to this because I want to add another line because I have my period 2 that doesn't meet on Friday. And I want to add again and say that periods 3 to 4 don't meet on Tuesday. You know, whichever where I had it where it was meeting. And so you end up with a section that specifies when it doesn't meet. So I can come in with 6-7 and say that that doesn't meet on Wednesdays, wherever that is in my drop. I want to make sure that I cover that. And I would have been setting up, you know, a maximum, because it isn't really going to matter. I can set up a maximum of 999 because everybody in my school is going to end up with it. And I can come in here for my 8 and 9 because 8 and 9 doesn't meet on Monday, and leave it with that. And then I give this one section to everyone so that that becomes where the student is scheduled into something, therefore they do not have free time. But it shows in their schedule, and I might not want it showing in the schedule. That's where making the days and the sections meet the day that's dropped is a cleaner way to do it. Now, if I had study hall rotation turned on, this is where, because I've made a section change, do I want to update the free time? I can say, yeah, go ahead and update that. So it's going to go back through, it zeroed out the enrollments in the courses, in the sections, and it's recounting those students who are active in scheduling and counting them into the maximum, into the enrolled counts. When a student leaves the school, under the Edit Biographical or under Attendance, you can go to your Attendance EWR tab, and you can withdraw the student from attendance. You would then want to go in under Biographical, More Editing Jobs, and edit the student active-inactive status. And you want to make them inactive in Biographic so they stop showing in all the active filters. And you want to make them inactive in scheduling so they stop being counted in the seat counts into the enrolled. Because a student who is withdrawn from your school is not physically in that classroom anymore, and that seat can be used by someone else. So it's the students that are active in scheduling that are added up when you update the class enrollments and the study hall enrollments. Under Admin, Database Configuration, and the Scheduling tab is where you would turn on Schedule Rotation. When I click OK, and I come back and look at a student's schedule, I'm going to see the days at the top of the list and what the periods are below that. So that's the period of the day that those classes meet. So this is where the holes are that that drop section is going to fill into. So it's how that fills in. So if for the student I add in the drop section, see how well I did? I'm going to have conflicts, which I knew. Okay? But what it would do is, depending on what it is, it would show here it isn't meet that day because I said period 1 meets on Thursday. And because that's dropped, it's still going to show because it's a course in the student. That's where it starts getting to be a little weird. So we want it to show what's going on. But that's where it says, yeah, I'm still in there even though I don't. It's like, all right, it's okay. I got to go out and take care of it. Where if I had just taken this out, go ahead and drop that section. If I had my classes that met as they do the full week, then it knows that, oh, chorus and chorus sectional meets first block. It doesn't meet Thursdays, but according to free time it does. Therefore, it's not free. It's just, that one's sort of a little funky, but that's the easiest way. If you just make the periods, if most of your classes are full week, with a drop, you leave it full week. That's what you want to do with those. The teachers would take attendance the same as they would with any other class. They would just pick up the next class and work from there. So when they see a list of their classes at the top, one of those classes for attendance is going to be study hall. Just as they could have had a section that's up there, a listing that's up there that is for homeroom. So same deal for that. But that's where we're working with for the study halls. If you have any questions, remember that you have the question mark for study halls. You can come into Help, Table of Contents. You can come down into the scheduling area and go in under, actually for some of it, School Management is where you would edit your study halls. It would give you information on adding in the study halls of, what they are. Lets you see what it's doing, what's an overall for the study halls, which is nice. It's like, oh, okay, let me see this study hall overall. So it lets you see sort of what's going on with study halls. And you usually wait until the master schedule is finished, and most of the students are pretty much finalized before you even start thinking about study hall. You want to make sure the terms required are used in the term definitions are used for free time. You want to run the requirements so you see what study halls do you need. You then set those up and you run the scheduler. And you can review and modify it as needed and just rerun the scheduler. And then you just maintain as you put students in. Okay, so it's going to give you a sort of a review of what's going on. What sort of things does it show with the requirements? What does it look like when I'm doing some other things of, when STIDs are only here for certain periods? Okay. Now some of these we could have terms that don't meet the full year. I have a semester 1 and a semester 2 term for courses that meet quarters 1 and 2 and quarters 3 and 4, but I can also set up terms that meets quarters 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, or 2 and 4. So they meet different time frames. They're still a semester course, they just don't meet consecutive terms, that's all. So remember, this information is here. So it gives you that area to be able to reference. You do have the option under Help about MMS to be able to call us on the support line, and we're here 8 to 5 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. You have an email for support. You can go up to our website and fill in a support ticket there. All for us to get a way to come back to you if you have questions. I hope this helped, and we'll go on from here. Now, if when you've logged into our website you have a webinar subscription, not only can you be participating in the live webinar like we're doing right now, but you also have access to the video learning, which are the recorded webinars that you can watch anytime you need to. And you can pause it, go do some stuff, come back, play some more of the webinar, and then go back. So all of those are ways to get help for study halls. We appreciate your participation, and good luck with your study halls. Thank you.